The hospital corridor smelled of antiseptic and fear. Nurses ran past in white shoes, wheels of a gurney screeched across the tiles, and a woman lay on the floor, holding her stomach with trembling hands. Her dress was torn, her hair disheveled, and tears streamed down her pale face. Just minutes earlier, she had been walking to her doctor's room, smiling softly at the thought of hearing her baby's heartbeat. Now, she struggled for air, staring up at the woman who attacked her, the mistress of her own husband. And in that moment, the pregnant wife whispered a name that made the mistress freeze, a name she could never have expected, because the woman lying before her was the daughter of someone so powerful, so feared, that even the walls seemed to tremble around his name. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more stories like this. Her name was Aisha, and all her life she grew up believing love was fragile. Her father was a strict and distant man, always surrounded by armed guards, business partners, and secrets. She knew he was rich, but she never understood how wealthy and influential he truly was. He rarely laughed, rarely spoke words of affection, yet he built a protective wall around her life. For years, Aisha tried to prove that she could live simply, without relying on him. She opened a small art studio, married a humble man named Fahad, and thought she had finally found happiness in the ordinary. But ordinary love sometimes hides extraordinary betrayal, and hers was one of them. When she discovered that Fahad had been seeing another woman named Mira, her world shattered. Mira was beautiful, confident, and ruthless. Aisha blamed herself at first, thinking she wasn't enough, that maybe her quiet nature and simple dreams couldn't compete with someone who lived loud and wild. But when she saw the messages, the late-night calls, and the lies, her heart broke in a way that left scars on her soul. She confronted Fahad gently, hoping he would fight for their marriage, for the family growing inside her. Instead, he confessed coldly, without remorse, as if her tears were rain falling on stone. In the weeks that followed, Aisha tried to survive for the sake of her unborn child. She visited the hospital alone, sat through her ultrasounds with shaking hands, and prayed silently that the baby would never know the bitterness she felt. But the world has ways of testing the strongest hearts. One evening, as she walked through the hospital corridor after a routine checkup, Mira appeared like a shadow made of anger. She shouted accusations, called Aisha weak, unworthy, said Aisha should disappear so she could take her place openly beside Fahad. Aisha tried to walk away, but Mira grabbed her arm, pushed her, and in the blink of an eye, Aisha hit the floor. The pain was sharp, cutting through her body and heart at the same time. Nurses ran, alarms rang, and Mira stood frozen, shocked by her own violence. But what shook her even more was the sound Aisha made through her tears, whispering, "My father, he will come." Mira didn't understand, until a group of black-suited men stormed the corridor like a storm made of silence and power. Behind them walked a tall, stern-faced figure whose eyes blazed when he saw Aisha on the floor. The entire hospital seemed to shrink under the weight of his presence. He wasn't just rich. He wasn't just powerful. He was a man whose decisions changed the lives of thousands. He was the kind of man others feared more than death itself. And now the mistress finally knew. Aisha was the daughter of the man everyone called the king without a crown. He knelt beside his daughter, holding her hand, his voice breaking as he called the doctors. For the first time in her life, Aisha saw fear in his eyes, the fear of losing her. Nurses lifted her gently onto a stretcher, rushing her away, and the world around her blurred into lights and echoes. Through the pain, she remembered all the times her father kept his distance, all the moments she believed he didn't care. But now she saw the truth. He had cared in ways she never understood, protecting her from the shadows of his dangerous world. Mira stood in the hallway, trembling as the guards surrounded her. Her jealousy had turned into a nightmare she couldn't escape. But even in her pain, Aisha whispered to her father, begging him not to harm the woman. It shocked everyone, how someone who had been broken could still ask for mercy. Her father looked at her, his stern heart cracking open, seeing the kind of human his daughter had become. That was the moment something changed inside him. Hours later, Aisha woke up in her room, the faint sound of machines beeping softly beside her. The doctor smiled gently, saying her baby was safe. Tears flooded her eyes, overflowing like relief she had never known. Next to her bed sat her father, his hands holding hers like she was his whole world, and Fahad stood in the corner, shattered by guilt. The sight of him didn't make her angry anymore. Betrayal had already taken enough from her. She wouldn't let it take her peace too. Her father spoke softly, telling her he would stand beside her now, not from a distance, not hiding behind power, but as a man willing to put his heart where he should have long ago. He told her she didn't need to fight battles alone anymore. And in that moment, Aisha made a decision. She would build a future for her child without bitterness, without hate. She would accept help, accept love, and choose forgiveness, not for the ones who hurt her, but for her own healing. Months later, Aisha returned to her art studio, holding her newborn baby in her arms, painting the sunrise she once believed she would never see again. She was surrounded by friends, students, and the quiet presence of her father, who visited her every week, smiling more than he ever did in his entire life. Mira apologized publicly, learned from her mistake, and walked away from Fahad forever. As for Fahad, he stood watching the life he lost, realizing too late that loyalty and kindness were worth more than the thrill of selfish desire. Aisha's journey wasn't perfect, nor was it easy, but it was real. She learned that strength isn't loud, it doesn't roar, sometimes it lies silently in the heart of a woman who chooses to rise even after being shattered. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything and helps us create more powerful stories. Special request, comment below, what did you feel when Aisha forgave instead of retaliating?